Hi, it's Patrick Hutzel from Intensive Care at Home, where we provide tailor-made solutions for long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies whilst providing quality care, and where we also provide tailor-made solutions to hospitals and intensive care units to save money and resources, and where we provide win-win situations for all of our stakeholders and clients. So in last week's blog, I talked about, can you discharge a patient home from ICU directly? You can check out last week's blog by clicking on the link below this video. In today's blog, I want to answer a question that we get quite frequently from our clients, but also people who are interested in our service. And the question that I want to answer today is, how long can you survive with ventilation and tracheostomy? What a great question, because obviously when somebody is having mechanical ventilation and a breathing tube or an endotracheal tube in intensive care, they can't be weaned off the ventilator. Then the next step often is to perform a tracheostomy. And that can lead to several outcomes. It could be a short-term measure to wean patients off the ventilator in ICU, but it could also be a long-term treatment plan for somebody to potentially be weaned off the ventilator and the tracheostomy at home. But it could also be a lifelong treatment option depending on the situation. For example, ventilation and tracheostomy could be a lifelong treatment option for patients that have a C1 spinal injury, that have issues such as motor neuron disease. Or a tracheostomy could turn into a weaning plan at home for patients with Guillain-Barré syndrome. Or a tracheostomy and mechanical ventilation could become an option for patients for a better quality of end of life at home, instead of approaching their end of life in ICU or in a hospice. This could be an option for a patient with end-stage COPD, for example, also after lung transplant, where a patient is having a rejection of a set of donor lungs. Most hospices wouldn't be able to look after tracheostomy and ventilation anyways, hence intensive care at home would be the much preferred option. So there could be a number of issues that could lead to lifelong ventilation and tracheostomy. It could also be sometimes an end-of-life situation where somebody needs ventilation and tracheostomy to prolong their life. Maybe only in the short term, maybe only for a few weeks or for a few months. Maybe they want to spend time at home instead of in intensive care and approach their end of life at home. But with most of our clients, it's definitely prolonged mechanical ventilation and tracheostomy, and they can live at home sometimes for many years to come, and they can actually live a good quality of life in the comfort of their own home, with basically having intensive care nurses coming into the home and providing the intensive care at home service 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. This provides a genuine alternative to a long-term stay in intensive care. Again, there are no firm timelines around this. It can be sometimes weeks, months, and it can sometimes be many years. And again, with our clients, many of them report a very good quality of life. They can be at home instead of in intensive care, and they can also be enjoying time around their families and their personal activities. They can be going sometimes to school. They can be doing meaningful activities in their own home with their families. Again, sometimes it's school, university, sometimes it's even work that they can do from home on the computer. You know, a lot of things are possible in this day and age at home that are not possible in intensive care. So by going home with intensive care at home with 24-hour nursing care, we can replicate the ICU just in a much nicer, in a much more family-friendly and client-friendly environment, and this can go on for many years sometimes. So we know of one gentleman in particular. He's been on a ventilator for almost 35 years now. He sustained a C1 spinal injury when he was a child, and to this day he's still alive and he's living a very good quality of life, even though he's on a ventilator and he's got a tracheostomy. So I hope that clarifies your questions. Please also have a look at our case studies, because there we highlight more about what we can do for clients, in particular how clients can live at home with ventilation and tracheostomies. And you can look at our case studies as well at our case study section. Also, we are currently hiring intensive care nurses in the Melbourne metropolitan area, as well as in Sydney and Wollongong. We are also hiring in Country Victoria and Gippsland, the Warragul, Trafalgar and Druin area. We are also hiring ICU and pediatric ICU nurses in Mornington, and in Sunbury in Victoria. And if you have a loved one in intensive care and you need help, contact us at intensivecareathome.com. Give us a call on one of the numbers on the top of the website, or just simply send me an email to patrick@intensivecareathome.com. That's Patrick, just with a K at the end. Also, if you're at home already with your loved one and you don't have enough support, if your loved one is on a ventilator with a tracheostomy, please give us a call as well. And if you're looking for funding of the service, give us a call. We can help you with funding for the service. We are also an NDIS, TAC and DVA approved community service provider. In Australia, we have been part of the Royal Melbourne Health Accelerator program in the past for innovative healthcare companies. Thank you for tuning into this week's blog. This is Patrick Hutzel from Intensive Care at Home, and I'll talk to you in a few days.